highly educated in Buddhist studies. There has been several nun scholars. They are excellent in Pali language. They have very high education in Abhidhamma, which is the Buddhist philosophy. And one nun I know very well, who is only 28, is actually editing and correcting the Pali spelling, which is the international Pali spelling, for the publication of a renowned monk scholar, but of course he gets all the credit. See, she does all the work in correcting the mistakes, but he gets all the credit, which always happens. And then you think that nuns have no education. In Burma, the emphasis is very much on education, I think, today, but it has been a very hard struggle. And I have written about how they have gradually proceeded. In the beginning, they were taught only the kind of basic Buddhist prayers, but how they try to, they themselves, with the support of the monks, of course, to get to the high level they are in today. Another point I have to emphasize is in Burma, old ladies usually don't become nuns, but they become yogis, which is a laywoman who retains their hair, but they take 8 precepts and stay in a nunnery with the nuns. To become a nun, as I have asked many yogi women, is quite arduous, as you have to get up early in the morning, you have to fast in the afternoon, you have all kinds of rituals to attend and so on. For an old lady suddenly to join the monastic order is too rigorous. And many of the old ladies in Burma have become yogis and not nuns. And the majority of the nuns in Burma are virgin nuns. They join the monastic order before puberty, usually after the 4th standard, and before the age when they are forced or they have to marry. So this is also contrary to the social stereotypes and the realities. Contrary to the social stereotypes, the majority of the nuns are young girls or women who have joined the monastic order when they were very young, start their studies. You have to start your Buddhist education as well, and memorization is very much part of that. So they say you have to start when you are young and when your eyes are good. One of the most actually renowned nunnery in Rangoon, Donya Nyasari Jaun Nunnery, where I was ordained, the entry qualification for a candidate was, of course, virginity, and the fact that you were eager to learn. And there was one exception, which was a nun whose daughter was a very good student, nun, and the mother, and actually the whole family had renounced. The father became a monk, and the mother became the nun, and the 2 children became a novice monk and a nun. And because this nun daughter was so brilliant, they allowed the mother nun to stay with her in this Donya Nyasari Jaun nunnery, so that the daughter, who was so young then, could continue with her Buddhist studies. But the mother nun, was always telling me that she was in a different category from these young virgin nuns who are called Ngebyu, which means young or small virgins. And she was Todwe, which is a different category, lower in this religious ladder than the small virgin nuns. So her position in the Buddhist hierarchy was much lower than the pure, the virgin nuns. Now, another category I would like to bring in is, in contrast to these small virgins, there are the big virgins. They are, big virgins called apyoji. But these are lay women who remain as spinsters. And it is quite extraordinary because from my research in Upper Burma, I have found 3 out of 10 who remain voluntarily, they opt to stay as spinsters. And spinsterhood in a traditional society means means that she is a big virgin, because there is almost no privacy, and sex is equated with marriage. If you sleep with a man, then you are considered to be a married woman. There's no kind of a religious ritual for marriage anyway. So spinsterhood is a very important sort of a position for Buddhist women. And most of the spinsters I know come from very devout Buddhist families. They are independent, they have a good job, they're professionals in big business. So they have the economic independence, but these big virgin spinsters will always tell you that I am spiritually inferior than the nuns who have totally renounced the lay world. So there is this hierarchy. Now, these virgins, the big virgins, are not only the monopoly of women. There are also many men, probably the percentage is less, who remain as bachelors. They are not disrespected, since but I would say virginity for women is a must, but I'm not sure about the bachelors. But anyway, this kind of a spinsterhood, bachelorhood is especially the spinsterhood is highly valued as a symbol of purity. And they are even feared for having the mental strength, feared for having the control to resist kind of a basic sexual desire, and feared for their independence as well, mentally and in many respects. So I think we have to, when we look at the nuns, we also have to look at these spinster women. Married women, if you go to page 6, because I have not followed the text, but just to go back to the text, the bottom, the last section of my paper, which is married women. So the nuns, spinsters, under that, married women, the kind of a lower category in this Buddhist kind of hierarchy, regard their sister, spinster friends or spinster sisters as spiritually higher than themselves. And they admire, the married women always admire them for their willpower and freedom, and this kind of a sense of, it is a sense of liberation, that they are not caught up again in family responsibilities and in the cycle of reproduction. This is very symbolic, but they will tell you that the spinsters are not caught up, at least they are not caught up like we are, having to deal with all these family problems and worry about, money and so on. So they even say that, they can remain as spinsters because they have come from this previous abode. They were celestials, and that's why they have better karma than we do, and so on. They do say these things. However, having said that, if you go to page 7, I'm going to read a little bit from the second section, which says, virginity, which provides one with purity and power on one level, is also seen as potentially dangerous by Burmese males. And it is generally said that once the virgin is penetrated, a woman becomes dangerously uncontrollable. Well, this is one of the things which Spiro says, so I'm not exactly sure if his data is reliable, but having said that, Buddhist literature is full of depiction of women who are biologically determined to be sexually uncontrollable. This is the Buddhist literature which conveys this image of women being loose and they have no control and so on. And the popular saying in Burma conveys a similar theme, that this is a Burmese kind of a literature, but even if a woman had 8 husbands, she is indeed not satisfied. And Spiro adds to say that this is what he's collected from the village. Once a woman tastes sex, she wants more and more and more. Now, this is one of the things that are being said, but at the same time, when you look at everyday customs and social norms in Burma, it is very puritanical. Sexual modesty is paramount value for Burmese Buddhist women. It is very important for her reputation to be sort of modest and sort of rigid about her sexuality, and they want to keep their virtuous reputation. Otherwise, so there are all kinds of rules and regulations that she will try to observe in order to keep her moral reputation. Now, unfortunately, it seems that I am running out of time, so I cannot really go into the real interesting issue, which is about the women's actual experiences and so on. But maybe I can come back to this when we have questions and reply. But what I am saying in my conclusion is that in spite of this kind of social stereotypes, female representations, women being sexually uncontrollable and so on, in the village situation, it is completely the opposite, that women are always the recipient in sexual relationships. Women consider this having to even, they say that it is one of their sufferings that you have to serve your husband. So, after they have one boy, one girl, they say, phew, I've finished my duty, I've finished my obligation, now I don't have to worry about sexual matters, I don't have to be on the receiving side, at least I have more control over my own body. Whereas men will always be the active partner in sexual matters. He will make the decision when he wants to sleep with her. He will make the decision if he wants to sleep with his wife. This is very much a traditional custom in the villages, and I don't think it has changed that much. And even in Japan, I think it's still my mother's generation will share a similar experience, that women are always the recipient of in this kind of a very intimate sexual relationship, even if it is your husband. Now, from there on, my actual conclusion, it has a little bit more to say, because I haven't really answered whether women can be celibate, but to become a nun is one step forward, that finally she has regained control over her own body. Celibacy means something that she has achieved, not that she is, like my students in women's studies would say, not that they are deprived of, but after a long struggle, as we have seen the prostitutes, and we have heard all kinds of horrible stories, that finally you have regained control. You have regained control over this sort of a socially prescribed role as a recipient of reproduction. You are the vessel to reproduce, but finally you have decided to go one step further, to be a religious person, a spiritual person, so that you don't have to worry about all kinds of social expectations. So in a sense, I would like to see celibacy in a much more positive light from their point of view. Okay, thank you.
As there is not so much time, I won't read my paper. Instead, I will tell you first a little bit what is Santi Asok, because it's not a worldwide known group. So I will tell you a little bit about Santi Asok first, and then tell you a little bit about the Sikhs, about the 10 precept nuns in that group. Excuse me. And if there is still time left, then I can discuss some points from my paper. But so Santi Asok is actually a temple in Bangkok. But it's also often given as the name to the group called Santi Asok then, which is not quite correct, but anyway. So the group Santi Asok was established 25 years ago, or more than 25 years ago, by a Buddhist monk called Bodhiraksa. And Bodhiraksa, before he became a monk, was a very famous TV celebrity, songwriter, and well-known person in the sort of entertainment life, so to say. So it was quite a shock to all the people and a surprise when he renounced the worldly life. And so approximately 30 years ago he joined a monastery called Wat Asok Aram, and that's where the name comes from, this Asok. And thank you. In that temple he started to preach. It was a big temple, but anyway he started to develop a certain following. Many people went to the temple probably only to see this famous Bodhiraksa, to find out why he renounced his worldly life and so on. But anyway, he started slowly to develop a following in Wat Asok Aram, and after a couple of years he decided to establish his own group, which is quite normal proceeding in the monasteries. So they left Wat Asok Aram and walked to another province and established their own new center there. And then they were known as Group Asok, because they came from that Wat Asok Aram. And so they started to build their own temple on a piece of land in Nakhon Pathom area. And at the same time, Bodhiraksa had some problems with the state hierarchy, with the Council of Elders. And as you probably know, Thailand has 2 Buddhist sects, and he was first ordained in the first one, and then later on he changed his ordination to the other temple, but both, or other sect, but both sects, and so on. So there were a lot of controversies there. So finally he was pushed out of the state organization, and he was really only fairly gently pushed out, forced to sort of resign totally from the state organization. And that meant, in the practical terms, that he himself started to ordain the monks and also ordained the 10 precept nuns, and he himself started to distribute the ID cards for the monks. He was allowed to do this practically for 13, 14 years, since 75, 76. And then all of a sudden in 1989, he was really attacked by the state. He was arrested and detained and taken to the police station, and he stayed there for 2 nights, and he was sort of forced to disrobe. And he had refused to disrobe, although they tried to pursue him to disrobe many times. He refused to disrobe, but then finally compromised to change his brown robes into white. And white in the Thai Buddhist culture is a sign of a pious layperson. So that he became, in a way, he was no longer a monk, in a way, in the eyes of the Thais, so to say. So he changed into white robes, and after that he was able to continue his work a little bit at least. And also, actually, yeah, two months later, all the monks and also the Sikhamaats were also arrested, and also they had to change robes, change the color of the robes. And at the same time, they started a trial against him, so he couldn't really continue to work, or he did continue to work, but they started a trial against him and the whole group in 1989, accusing him for being a false prophet and accusing the members or the monastics to follow the wrong prophet, the false prophet. And so the trial, so basically they were actually sort of accused of pretending to be Buddhists, because they were not Buddhists, as they did not belong to the state hierarchy, simply. But anyway, so the trial lasted for 6 years, and on and off they had to go to the court. And finally they got the sentence after 6 years of trial in 1995, and it was then something like 6 years prison for Bodhiraksa himself, and 6 months for the monks, and 3 months for the Sikhamaats. But all that was then transferred into a suspended, or changed into a suspended sentence. So what the whole group got was 2 years of suspended sentence. And so that suspended sentence started 2 years ago in around the New Year. So now actually it is over, and it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen this year, because now they are theoretically free. And an interesting thing with this whole crisis, as they call it, the crisis from 1989, is that the group really started to grow when it was declared illegal in a way. So a lot of people who were not happy with the Thai Buddhism or even with the society, so to say, they went to see this group in order to find out what is so dangerous with this group that it has to be banned. So actually the group grew quite a lot after they were declared illegal. And after that they were declared illegal, they were also, they started to establish several centers. So Santi Asok is the center in Bangkok, Pathom Asok is in Nakhon Pathom, and then they have Sima Asok, Sisa Asok, Sali Asok, Ratchathani Asok, and so on, 5-6 centers in different provinces. And what they then started also in 89 is a school. They opened schools for children, sort of primary schools and secondary schools for children in nearly all those centers. And they still continue with teaching. And now the monks are usually not vegetarian. And Santi Asok is fiercely vegetarian. And of course then the other side feels that it is sort of almost an insult when they are so vegetarian, and then the other side is still accepting meat and fish and so on. So they find it difficult to deal with. So the first accusation always is that they are vegetarian. And the second accusation or big problem to the outside is that they only have one meal a day. They really only eat once a day, sometime between 9, 10, 11 in the morning, and after that they are not allowed to drink yogurt or anything like that. They just drink pure water. They're not allowed to drink coffee and sugar and tea and those sort of things, milk. Only pure water. And then, which maybe sounds very funny to us, one of the big problems also has been in the conflict between Santi Asok and the mainstream is that they don't shave their eyebrows, because they claim that Buddha didn't shave his eyebrows, and so that is also one of the big points that the outside, the mainstream, points out. Then other things is that this group is extremely ascetic and some signs of that are that they always walk barefoot, whereas the other Thai monks only walk barefoot when they go on their alms rounds. But in Santi Asok, they have to walk barefoot all the time. They are not allowed to carry umbrellas, even if it rains. And then they are absolutely not allowed to deal with money. And as you probably know, many Thai monks are involved in all sorts of money transactions and so on. But in Santi Asok, it's an absolute rule that you can't even donate money to a monk. You can't give a brown envelope to a monk in Santi Asok. if you absolutely want to give money to them, which they don't even necessarily appreciate so much, because what they want is labor force, that you start to work for them, do some voluntary work. But if you absolutely have to give money to them, then you have to give it to one of the foundations, and you just give the money to the ladies in the who take care of the foundation, and there are no pictures taking, there's no big fuss about it like in the mainstream. You give 20 million baht to the monk, and the photographs everywhere and the cameras, and then there's a picture about it in Bangkok Post next day and it's shown in TV. But in case of Santti Asok, you can't go there and give them money. Another thing for this, or sign of this simple life, or this different interpretation of Buddhism, is that they have no Buddha statues in the temple. And this is in a way an old tradition. In Thailand there is another monk, or was another monk, Buddhadasa, who was active since 1930s, who was also claiming that the statue of Buddha hides Dhamma in a way that the Thai people only see the beautiful picture of Buddha and can't see the teachings behind the statue. But there are actually Buddha statues also in Santti Asok. They often get small statues as gifts, and they put them somewhere then, but they are not sort of, so to say, worshipping or prostrating in front of the Buddha statues. And neither do they have images, and they don't distribute amulets either. They are absolutely against amulets. And they don't have the ceremony of sprinkling of holy water, because they don't think it helps anyone. And altogether they are very much against all sort of magic practices. So there are many differences from the mainstream. But then come to the question of the women in Santti Asok, also these 10 precept nuns. The oldest 10 precept nuns in the group have been with following Bodhiraksa ever since Wat Asok Aram, so more than 25 years now. There are 3 of them who are the oldest ones. And in the beginning, because there's no tradition for 10 precept nuns in Thai culture, so these ladies, originally they were called Manen, which is a sort of female novice. So they are on the level of novice in the hierarchy in that sense. And later on, I'm not quite sure when it happened, they changed the name into Sikhamat, which is Sikhamata, studying mother. Don't have any money either, and they also go to an alms round every morning. But of course nowadays, when they are more well established, many people come to the temple and give food, and they come to and they are volunteers working in the kitchen and so on. But even sometimes nowadays, like for the New Year's celebration, when all the other people left Santti Asok to a retreat somewhere in the upcountry, some Sikhamats stayed behind in Santti Asok, and the kitchen will be closed, so they will have to go out for long alms rounds in order to find food. Sometimes it's a little bit problematic and difficult to find vegetarian food for them because the people tend to give meat. But anyway, they have done this for years also, that they really support themselves only by going on an alms round. And also they are totally forbidden to cook. They are not allowed to cook. As soon as a woman becomes a Sikhamat, she can no longer approach the kitchen, so to say. Actually, they can supervise there, but they are not allowed to play with the fire. So usually what the Sikhamats are doing there are Sikhamats only in 2 centers, in Santti Asok and in Pathom Asok. At the moment there are 25 of them, which is quite small group. And what they do usually in this group is that they work as teachers in the school, because 30% of the Sikhamats have academic background, approximately 30% of them. So they work as teachers, English teachers, for instance, and science teachers and so on. And then many other Sikhamats work in editing the publications. Santti Asok group is publishing a lot of books in Thai mainly. So many Sikhamats work in the computer house, in the computer room, in the publishing company, or in the archives, where they save all the papers they get. And strangely enough, one of the Sikamats is supervising the construction workers. She's a sort of called engineer or architect, although she has no training for that, but it has become her job. And then they are maybe involved a little bit in gardening, but not much. And then there's a kindergarten also, or Sunday school actually, Sunday school, and one of the Sikamats is involved in the Sunday school work. So now I think I still have time to go further to the paper actually, so then we can just talk about the advancement, because one of my points is that why these Sikamats are respected in at least in their own group. Okay, then I have a little bit time to talk about it. And I would claim that one reason why they are respected in the Asok group at least is that it is very difficult to become a Sikamat. You can't just walk in and say that I want to take an ordination. Even the monks cannot just walk in and say that can I get an ordination today? For the monks it takes usually, let's say it takes 1 year to become a monk in Santi Asok. Actually it takes 2 years, because first they have to become sort of temple volunteers. They have to already in a way renounce their worldly life and live in the temple as laymen and work for the temple free of charge, so to say, and become vegetarian and start to walk barefoot and sort of practice to become a monk. Now for a lady it takes even longer. So for a woman, if she wants to become a Sikamat, she can go there and say that I want to become a Sikamat, and they say fine, but it means that first you become a lay woman living in the temple, just like the men, and that takes then 2 years, at least 2 years. Yeah, for the men too, 2 years actually is the time when they advance from the temporary guest. This is on the page 14. From temporary guest to permanent guest and then to temple resident. That takes 2 years. Only after that they come to the point when they are getting a little bit closer to being ordained. For a man, after that it takes only 1 year. For a woman it takes 2 years. So a woman has to be then after that 6 months on a sort of first level aspirant, and then 18 months as a second step aspirant. And only after that she can be ordained as a Sikamat. But in practice it takes much longer for the Sikamats, because there's a restriction in the group that there can be only sort of one Sikamat to 4 monks. So that the number of the Sikamats should not increase the number of the monks, and should not even be half or something 50% of the group. So therefore there is this restriction that only, or they restrict it so that there can be, like at the moment there are 100 monks, so there can be 25 Sikamats. And if there's now somebody candidating to become a Sikamat, she has to wait until there are 104 monks, and then the next Sikamat can be ordained. So therefore, I mean, the Sikamats, they have really gone through many steps, and actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, and it usually nowadays takes nearly 10 years for a woman to become a Sikamat. But maybe I should stop then here so that I don't use too much time. Thank you.
Your sisters in the Dhamma, your brothers in the Dhamma. Mingalaba. Yes, I will tell something about Burma. Burma, the golden land. Burma, the stronghold of Theravada Buddhism. Burma, a land, country cut off from the rest of the world. That's one of the reasons I'm here, being cut off from the rest of the world, from the rest of the Buddhist world. I want to meet with all of you, to be with you, to share with you, to learn from you. Because communication to and from Burma is very, very difficult. And not for 6 years, as she mentioned. It's about 5 years that I've been there, ordained as a nun in Burma. And as they just approached me last night from the talk today, I'm happy to talk, to share whatever I know, what I have experienced there. So, to begin with, yes, the situation for Buddhist nuns in Burma is slightly or quite different actually from what we have heard until now in other countries. As Hiroko Kawanami has mentioned, there are nunneries where nuns can go and study, and some of them are very renowned, very good. They can do exams, same exams as the monks do. So they have the facilities now to study, and as she also mentioned, they are quite educated now, the nuns. If they study, then they have quite good education in Pali and in Abhidhamma. So in this regard, Burmese nuns are quite well off compared to other countries. Also, for foreigners who want to go there and study, there is no difficulty to stay there. There are no visa problems. You can get visa extensions if you're there. Staying in a nunnery or staying in an education center. So, situation seems quite easy. But still, I mean, the nuns in Burma, they are just 8 precept nuns, maybe some of them 10, but not more than that, I think. Nunneries, they do get support from the lay people, and the more renowned the nunnery is, like the Dungan Saricham in Rangoon, they get support from the laity, and they also get support from the government even. But still, I mean, they have to get out, to go around in town, and they get either money or raw rice. So to fully support them, they still have to do that. Yes, we have one nun here, Do Damawati from Nepal. She has been living and studying in Burma for 14 years, and she has got a degree. She made exam of the Dhammacharya, which is sort of the level that officially sort of allows you to teach the Dhamma. And presently there is a German nun staying in Burma. She's also studying. She has been there for about 7 or 8 years already. And she's studying and doing all the exams that she can do. So, seems quite good. If laywomen want to study, there are also facilities there for Burmese or even foreign laywomen to study. They can attend classes, and they also can do all these exams, and then they also can do this Dhammacharya exam. I know one woman who comes to help in the meditation center where I stay. She has done these studies, and now she has also this title of a Dhammacharya as a laywoman. And actually also my sponsor, my supporter, she is also a very learned woman, a spinster that Coco talked about. Very learned, coming from a real Buddhist family. Her father was a learned man, so he also let his daughter study. And yeah, she's so learned. This brings me to another topic. I told you she's my sponsor. This is something very unusual, and it is something that I only found out sometime after I got ordained. At the time of my ordination, I came to Burma. I didn't know anything about Burma, about Buddhist nuns and monks, all the rules and things like that. I just wanted to go to Burma and practice meditation. So at the time of my ordination, which was a small ceremony, my teacher and a few women, then my teacher told me, you know, Dokin, so this is your sponsor. Oh, okay. And because then I started to meditate, and meditating in Burma means you don't talk, you don't communicate with anybody, you just meditate for the whole day for a certain period of time. I just took it for granted that all the nuns who get ordained in Burma also get a sponsor. I sort of somehow knew that monks get a sponsor, or dayaka, somebody who takes care of the monks. But then when I stopped after some months of meditation and I started to learn Burmese language, and then another foreign lady came and ordained as a nun, and I was present at her ordination, and she didn't get a sponsor. So I was a bit confused, you know, why did I get and she not? So I found out that's not the case normally. And I haven't still found out until now why my teacher gave somebody for me and then not for others. Be it as it be. If nuns want to study, yes, there are centers, nunneries where they can go and study. And because practicing meditation is also very important, very popular in Burma, so people and monks and nuns, they also go and practice meditation in one of the many meditation centers they have all over Burma. I have heard a number like they have more than 300 meditation centers all over Burma. So, and these meditation centers are open for everybody, for monks, for nuns, for lay women, for lay men. These are centers where monks and nuns, lay people can go and practice meditation for a certain period of time. It can be 10 days, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. It's up to everybody's wish how long they want to practice. They just can go, start meditation, and they can leave when they have to leave, when they want to leave. So also this is equally sort of for monks, nuns, and lay people in Burma. In Burma, it is quite traditional, monastery or a meditation center, staying there anything between 3 days, 4 days, a week, or 10 days, and then disrobes again, and then after the age of 20, again goes to a monastery or meditation center to become a monk for a certain period of time, and then disrobes and goes back to the lay life. This has been very much a tradition. And for the girls, for a long time, it has been not going to a nunnery or a meditation center and become a nun, but for the girl it had been the ear piercing ceremony. So, you know, before the little boys go to the monastery and become a novice, they have this, they are dressed up as a prince, like symbolic as Prince Siddhartha, you know, before his renunciation. So they are dressed up like a prince, beautifully adorned. And I have seen that in the villages where they sit on the elephants and all the people walk behind and the white umbrella is held above them, or on bullock carts. In cities, they sit on the open cars and they drive through the city. And at the same time, for the young girls, they also, of course, they also want to be a princess and being served for one day and have a princess life. So for them, it's the ear piercing ceremony. They get dressed as princesses, beautiful, and they are very happy then. But then they get their ears pierced. That's it. But nowadays, it has changed slightly. it's more and more that also young girls go to a monastery or meditation center and ordain as a nun for a short period of time, a week or 10 days, 2 weeks, and then go back. And in the meditation center where I stay, it has become almost a tradition that every year during the school holiday, which is in the hot season, starting from March, April, that whole classes come to the center, and then all the girls ordain as a nun, and they stay there for about 10 days or 2 weeks. They do some studies, and they do some meditation. And it's beautiful. At that time of the year, you know, the whole meditation center is full of these little nuns from the age of about 7 to 14, 15, 150, 200 of them. So that is every year then. And nowadays also it's more and more fashionable for young women to ordain as a nun for some period of time and then go back to lay life. So nowadays when you walk through the streets of Rangoon, you will come across young ladies with almost a bald head because, yes, they have to shave their head. And for Burmese women, having beautiful black long hair down here to the bottom, I mean, that's quite something to cut off that hair. But maybe another thing is that it has made it more easier now among young girls, ladies. It's also more fashionable to wear short hair, sort of Western style. So maybe a good excuse to cut off their hair. We are discussing here the issue of bhikshunis. There are no bhikshunis in Burma. And I actually don't know if Burmese nuns really want to become bhikshunis. I have stayed in my meditation center. I haven't gone out very much, except traveling, go on pilgrimage. So I really don't know what the Burmese think about this issue, because you see, they have facilities, they can study, they can practice meditation, they get some support, and it has been like this for centuries, and it's so much, I think, in their mentality, and they are very much obedient to authorities. So is this wish really there in the Burmese nuns? I can't tell you. I only can tell you about one incident that happened about just 3 or 4 months ago. In the meditation center where I stay, some nuns, after they finish their intensive meditation practice, they stay on in the center to help, because all these meditation centers are run by volunteers. Nobody gets paid. All the people helping around the center, cooking, doing the dishes, preparing food, cleaning, they are all volunteers. So when people finish their meditation practice, some of them stay on in the center to help, to work, sort of also repaying that they were able to stay there, because it's basically free. They have to pay a little amount of money, which goes into food, but really never covers the cost of actual expenses. So one of these nuns, when she was there helping also in the dining hall, you know the address when you want to talk to a nun, you called her Seale, and Seale actually means something like little teacher. Sea is the word for teacher, and for a monk you would add the honorific, then it means Sea Do. And for a head nun in a nunnery, it's Sea Ji, a big teacher. But commonly to address a nun, it's Sea Le, little nun, diminutive. So that has been the thing that I was using all the time because everybody else was using that. But then one day, she comes up to me and says, Ashim Pea. And I was, oh. Because Ashim Pea, he used this word to address a monk, not for a nun. But she says Ashim Pea. Sort of, oh, okay. I don't know where it came from, if it is something used in the place she had stayed before or not. Change. So maybe I will close here, and after, when we come to question and answers, I could answer some of your questions that come up. Thank you.
Why បង្គំព្រះសង្ឃគ្រប់អង្គចម្រើនបុណ្យតប្រជាជនបងប្អូនគ្រប់គ្នា Venerable sirs, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in Dhamma, I am very happy to have the opportunity to come here to speak to you all today. You have listened to many Buddhist scholars and very famous lecturers in Buddhism. I would like to talk a little bit about the topic entitled The Position of Mechi or Nun in Thailand. Why are nuns not allowed to become as important as monks in the Buddhist religions? Actually, in Buddhism, women or female lay followers are the fourth assembly of society. The other assemblies are bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, exist in the Buddha lifetimes, and their followers men. Women can also attain the threefold trainings and achieve deliverance. Moreover, women are to be cared and protected from harm. Nevertheless, even though women could be ordained bhikkhunis during the Buddha's lifetime, physically women could not conveniently perform their spiritual practice as strictly as men, as they could not stay alone in the forest, etc. Some women or some nuns are greater than monks. They are wise, well behaved, and protected chastity. Some nuns say that being a woman is not a curse. Being a woman is not a barrier to do anything. Even a woman can attain arhatship if she is interested in it. She can reach any target. When Lord Buddha gave the titles to nuns, given the title as the woman who is cause of giving donation. that women is one of the most important part of society. In Thailand, the position of nuns still lower than the position of monks. They can't go more in one. But in my institute, not up to the monks, but we are. We can go to Winterbat. We are independent. I am concluding my speech by mentioning that Naso Subisu Tanesu Puruso Hoti Bandito Itipihi Bandito Hoti Tata Tata Pichakana. Not only monks but nuns are also intelligent and wise. May you all be well and happy in Dhamma. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I think that is probably the direction that we can foresee in the future. One of the things I think which I have to just remind the audience is in the Theravada Buddhist world, there is a very sort of a clear division between the Lokya, which is the worldly, and Lokuttara, which is the otherworldly. I suppose as gradually Buddhism encounters the modern world or becomes, in a way, more westernized, this clear distinction between the Lokya, where people are caught up, as I said, as a householder, and the otherworldly, which is the world for the monks, and I will include the nuns, will become the more and more overlapped. That is, the distinction will gradually become irrelevant. At the moment, if there is this clear distinction, marriage